Hi succulent fans, welcome to my channel, The Way to Succulents. I'm Wei. As always, I would love to share my way of being succulents with you. Today, you can see that is the type of succulents I would love to share. You may say, oh, I have that plant. Yes, it's one of popular succulents. It's commonly called Moonstone or pink pebbles. And the Latin name is called Pachy Phytum oviferum, and it's actually Greek word. The pachy part means thick because the leaves they are really thick. Have a look. And the second part actually is phytum, which means plant, thick leaves plant. That's them. They are very adorable. Personally, I love succulents with their leaves, even without flowers. Sometimes the flowers doesn't really get my attention. For example, you see this one here is going to bloom soon. For Moonstone, summer is their flowering season. And for succulents, there is a tip for you to remember. The flowering season are also the dormant season. So for watering succulents, normally what I do is every 2 weeks I water them once during the growing season, not the dormant season. And during the dormant season, like them, I would water them once per month. Otherwise, they would get rotten, the leaves get rotten, and then the whole plant would die. These plants are originally from Mexico. They grow on really high mountains, hills. The altitude is around 600 meters to 1,500 meters above the sea level, which is around 2,000 feet to 4,900 feet. So you can imagine they grow so high on the cliff of the hill. They choose their spot to grow. In between a gap of 2 stones, there would be a little soil, but not much. So that means for moonstones, the grittier the soil is, that means the better is for them. They don't like a lot of soil because soils can get a lot of water and they don't like too much water. But they are sun lovers. If you grow them indoor, put it at the south-facing window sill. Let it get as much sun as possible. But if you grow it outdoor, be careful, it might get sunburned if you put it in the full sun all the time, especially the sun, summer afternoon sun. It can burn it slightly. If the temperature goes down to 20 Fahrenheit, which is -6 by Celsius, you need to take them back indoor, otherwise they will be killed because they are not hardy succulents. What is the ideal temperature to grow this moonstone? It would be around 15 degrees centigrade by Celsius, which is around 60 by Fahrenheit. It is actually quite healthy and healthy environment for them to grow. They are not a frost-tolerant plant, so if the weather forecast says there will be a frost, one way is cover it with frost cover, a piece of cloth. Another way just to take them back indoor. That means it's getting cooler, so maybe it's not the best time to grow them outdoor anymore. Look at this one here. This is the one actually I did get it frost damaged. What happened, it was in the end of March, the temperature here went up and I was so happy and I said, yeah, I can bring them out. I did, and then I didn't check the weather forecast for coming days, and one night there was frost, and that is why you see part of the corner, the leaf is black. That is, it get frosted, but it was not really bad, so it's not badly damaged, but it does look not as nice as the others, if you can see. This guy here, it has a flower petal, a stalk of flower is coming out. It's a summer flower succulent. And when we talk about flowering, actually, you know, whenever the flowering season for succulents actually is their dormant season. So during that time, stop watering them as you normally do. For these succulents, there are two ways for you to water them. The first way is fully soaking watering. For this type of plant, when there is a hole, you can do that. In this watering bowl, what I have are banana peels. Sometimes I also add brewed coffee, not much, really light, because coffee we know is acid. You don't want to make the pH number too low. For succulents, the ideal pH number is 5.8. If it's lower than that, it's not really good for the succulents either. Water the succulents, as always, we do the bottom soaking. It's thoroughly water the succulents. We can just put the plant under condition there is a hole at the bottom. Put the whole plant into the water tank if you use something, whatever you use, and then just leave it alone and get it soaked. In my bowl, what I have is banana peels. Remember, I made a video about succulent fertilizers. Go and check it. Then take it out and then just let the water go out naturally. That is actually best for the succulents. But sometimes you grow the succulents in some exotic or special plants, like for example these two glass plants. And what do I do is I put really deep, about like a half of the whole container with these gravels. Then I put the whole, let me see whether I can take that out. That's a bit hard to take out. With this one here. Then I put the whole plant with the original soil into the planter and then cover the other area with gravel. So when you water, you can just see, when you water it, you can just pour the water in, and then you see the change of the color of your gravels. When the whole jar color change, that means stop. The good thing about this type of gravel is after you water it, you can just kind of like tilt it and then get rid of the excess water, so the soil will stay white but not soggy, but it's still good environment for the succulents. That's why I like this type of glass planters. You can see where the water is, but I wouldn't recommend you to just get rid of the water immediately, because this soil, they need quite well to absorb the water in. When we water, we always remember thoroughly water the succulents. And for these succulents, you know, in the summertime, do not water them often, maybe once per month, because like I mentioned, it's the dormant season, it's a flowering time. And you may see what the flower look like. It's kind of like a bell, little bells, and it's very orange with the red and yellow color altogether. It's, for me, I'm not attracted by the flowers of the succulents. I always love the fleshy leaves, the firm leaves about the succulents. And you may say, how do you propagate the succulents like the Moonstone? Easy. You can just take one piece from the bottom and just twig it left and right. So you will get the whole piece off. Then you can just put it aside. let it get fully callous for maybe 24 hours, and then you put it onto the surface of the soil. After around this propagation actually doesn't take long. Around 3 weeks, you will see they would come up with babies. For example, this is one of the propagate babies I got from the leaves. That's the first way. Another way is actually at the stem. At the stem here, you can see this one better. At the stem, the root part of the stem, because actually you tweak the leaf off. At the spot, sometimes they just grow new babies out. That's another way. And you can just, if you want to separate it into a different pot, you can just like roll it around and then I'll cut it with a scissors, a pair of scissors, and then get it fully callous and then repot it. For example, you look this one here. That's an easy one for you to do that. You see this one, I can just like pull and then I can separate it easily. For the color of this moonstone is supposed to be a really pink one. Another nickname for it is pink pebbles. That means if you give them a good sunlight, they will turn to be quite pink, like this pink, even pinker than this one. Like maybe add another layer of pink like this. Is a gorgeous plant. When we grow succulents, there is one thing we always worry about is the pest. And these succulents, they are actually, if they have problem, mainly is mealybugs. So whenever I buy a new plant, I will go through the soil and then see whether there is mealybugs and then get rid of them. If necessary, even get rid of the soil. That means the soil is contaminated, so don't use it anymore and put the plant in isolation from others within around 2 weeks. And within these 2 weeks, you need to give them treatment. You can use a really organic method, organic peppermint soap water to spray. You can also use alcohol. And the difference is alcohol is a bit stronger, so you don't do it quite often. You may do it like once a day, and then you do 3 times and see whether there is any change. But if you use even though they are slow growing plants, if you give them good space, like this one here, they grow faster than you restrict them in a smaller plant. It depends whether you like the small one or you want a big amount and a big plant. It really depends. I like to have like different experiments with different size of plants. You may say, wait, how big the plant would grow? The mature plants, after around 3 years growing in a really ideal environment, it will grow around 30 to 50 centimeters high and across, which is around 12 inches to 20 inches. Peppermint soap water, you can treat them like 3 times a day and 3 days. It should have a really good result. We recommend you not to touch the leaves even though they are really adorable, because they are really sensitive. They don't like human beings oil. We do have like oil on our body, on our fingers. That would cause harm to these moonstones.